We request the brothers to proceed towards the MPH for the breakfast. We would like to recognize the brothers who help out and do volunteering for this program, and those brothers that also sponsor. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward everyone. May Allah azza wa jal bless them and their families. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. As we continue on our journey for the preparation of the life hereafter, and a person equipping himself with certain characteristics which will make him valuable on the Day of Judgment, and becoming among those individuals that will be, when they meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah azza wa jal, He is pleased with them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants them maghfirah, Jannah, and protects them from the fire of hell. As the narration mentions, three categories of individuals. The first one who meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala having the love of Allah. In return, Allah will give him paradise. The second is a person who meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala having the fear of Allah azza wa jal. Allah will protect him from the fire of hell. And the third individual is that person who meets Allah azza wa jal in a stage that he has haya from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is worried about his sin to be exposed in front of Allah azza wa jal, the actions that he has done. Remember, there is a difference between someone knowing something about you and someone holding you accountable in front of them about the actions that you did. So you know that someone X has done XYZ, but then they appear in front of you and they have to verbalize that sin or that act of shameness that they have done in their life. So even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Allah azza wa jal has the knowledge of everything, and He is aware of the actions of everybody, but having that fear that tomorrow I have to meet Allah azza wa jal and I have a lot of things that I have not done right. A person is shamed to show his a'mal to Allah on the Day of Judgment. And that is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Man laqiyani wa huwa yastahyi, the person who meets me on the Day of Judgment in a stage that he has haya of me, adnabtuhu ansaytul hafadhata dhunubahu, that I will make the angels who write the sins forget about his sins. And they will not be able to present in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is something that a person needs to develop, as the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam describes. That what is haya min Allah? Number one is an tahfadh al-ra's wa ma wa'a. You protect your understanding and whatever it contains. Number two, we talked about this yesterday. Number two is an tahfadh al-batna wa ma hawa, that you protect your consumption and whatever you take inside. And that is a very important thing. Remember, this body of ours is a gift of Allah. You know, a person, he misuses his body thinking that this body belongs to him. The body doesn't belong to us. It is an amana of Allah. That's why, and this is a discussion of another day, about donating organs, right? After a person dies. Person is alive, he donates a kidney or something for someone to survive. That's a different scenario. But donating an organ after you have passed away, after you have died, there is a lot of discussion amongst the scholars. And the main thing that this discussion revolves around is that the body is an amana of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the way Allah azza wa jal has given you this body at the time of your arrival into this world, it is your responsibility to take it back when you pass away. This body wasn't given to you because of your achievement. It was given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a gift of Allah. It's an amana of Allah azza wa jal. Now, whatever goes inside this body, for this body to function, the fluids, the food, It has to be under the requirements of Allah Azza wa Jal for this body to function properly. You buy a nice car, you go to the showroom and you take out a Maserati, 120K, and then you bring it to your house and you say, mashallah, this is a very nice car, I've paid cash for it, not a single dime is on finance. And it's my car, I own it fully, I've got the title in my hand. In the gas tank, instead of putting gas, I'm going to put milk. I'll put milk inside. It's more expensive, it's better, it's quality, it has its own nutrition, it's got so many things. So instead of gas, I'm going to put milk inside. This car is not going to function. It's not going to function. He goes and he buys mineral water, puts it inside. Oh, very holy car, puts Zamzam inside. Not going to work. Why? Because the machine needs to function the way it has been described by the manufacturer, and what type of fluid goes, that's how the machine is going to function. This human being's body has been made to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's going to function in the worship of Allah when you take care of what goes inside this body. If you feed anything, then the function is not going to work properly. It's like putting milk into the gas tank. So, the body is an amana of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a person needs, and that's what haya comes in. I'm eating something, is it lawful for me to eat that? And the lawfulness comes from two things. The first one is the actual thing that you're eating, is it halal for you to eat or not? Number two, from the source that I have purchased this thing for me to eat, was that a halal source or not? These are the two things that a person needs to think about at the time of consumption, that the source that I'm eating from, is it halal? Person buys halal meat. He goes in the house and he cooks it. But the money that he had was taken or stolen from someone, or he earned it through lying. So now that money is not halal for him because he did it through a wrong source. And now, even though he's buying something that is halal, that's not going to have the proper effect. So what happens? The body doesn't function properly. The body does not get the ability to do ibadah of Allah. Stay away from haram. Be inclined towards good. Why? Because we are not protecting what's going inside this body. So, part of haya from Allah Azza wa Jal is that a person worries about what he puts inside. Number three, وَلَتَذْكُرُ الْمَوْتَ وَالْبِلَى. That the proper haya from Allah Azza wa Jal is that a person remembers his death, and he remembers of him passing away and becoming old and becoming decay in his grave. And that is very important. The person who has his death in front of his face every single day, every single morning when he wakes up, this person makes this day the best day of his life. If a person says, no, I've got enough time, I'm still young. A person is in his 60s, which is already a deadline, empty tank. After that, you're running on overtime. Anybody who passes the age of 60, and no offense to anyone, anybody who passes the age of 60 and 70, they're living overtime. Allah Azza wa Jal has given you more time. So at that time, you close all books and you just dedicate yourself to Allah Azza wa Jal. This is overtime. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me every single second, every single minute that is passing your life. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, أَعْمَارُ أُمَّتِ بَيْنَ سِتِّينَ وَسَبْعِينَ. The majority of my ummah will live 60 to 70. And I often tell these people, a person says who is 40 years old, I said, brother, 3/4 of the tank is empty, only quarter is remaining. You know, a person dies at the age of 65, 70. Oh, he was young. He was young. There is no young in the definition of Allah, because death doesn't come to only those who are old. It comes to young, it goes to children, it comes to everybody. So a person remembers his death every single day. That is the proper hayat that you can develop in your life. And the last thing the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ mentions, وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةَ تَرَكَ زِينَةَ الدُّنْيَا. The one who is intending for akhirah, he doesn't worry about the positions of this world. He doesn't invest his time that I can become famous, I can become rich, I can have this, I'll be that. He doesn't worry about that because he wants all those titles to be given on the day of judgment. Imagine you've got all the titles of whatever you wish in this dunya, and when you go to akhirah, you're zero, you're in a complete lost. And you have no title in this world. But when you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angel, they welcome you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you many titles on the day of judgment, and you've been given entrance into Jannah, the love of Allah, and the acceptance, the ridwan of Allah Azza wa Jalla is given to you. That is success. So don't worry about the world. It's going to pass for everybody. If you have a title or you don't have a title. If you have a position, you don't have a position. If you are someone or you're no one. That is not needed for this world. In this world, as a believer, how much you are recognized in the sky. Don't worry about the world. People in this world worry about how they are recognized in this world. Their positions are recognized. Their talents are recognized. But the people who work for akhirah, they don't care about the positions of this world. We find many stories from the life of Sahaba that they did work and they didn't even want their name to be mentioned. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةَ تَرَكَ زِينَةَ الدُّنْيَا. The one who is intended for akhirah, he doesn't worry about the titles of this world. He is worrying about how much Allah is going to give me on this action. That's all it matters to me. So this is having haya from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah Azza wa Jal says, the person who meets me on the day of judgment with this haya, I will make his angels forget his sins. So it will not be presented. It will not be put onto the scale on the day of judgment. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us this characteristic. We ask Allah to make us among those who become successful on the day of judgment. آمين يا رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحان الله وبحمده. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.